My name is Alexandra Monroe, but most people here still call me Lex. It's been 15 years since I left my hometown in Maine, and tonight is my class reunion, the one where everyone returns to prove they made it. I wasn't planning to come. I RSVP'd late, booked the cheapest ticket, wore a navy blue dress I've owned for years, simple, clean, anonymous. The venue is the kind of upscale resort you see in magazines, oceanfront glittering chandeliers, soft jazz humming from the speakers. I arrive just as the sun dips below the horizon. Inside, everything gleams, everyone gleams. Name tags sparkle in custom fonts, gold embossed titles attached like ornaments. Dr. Catherine Miles, CEO, Jordan Rhodes, Senator Lee. My tag, Alexandra Monroe. No title, no credentials, black and white, standard font. I pin it on my chest and walk in, keeping my steps quiet. I already see the looks, the quick scans, the smirks that don't even try to hide. Catherine is the first to greet me, or more precisely, she snickers as she passes by. Nice dress, she says. Forgot to upgrade your name tag too. Laughter trails behind her like perfume. She walks to the stage in red heels, commanding flawless, ready to host. She's always been like this. Homecoming queen turned best-selling author turned empowerment guru. She hosts a podcast now about women leading loudly. Her voice is unmistakable, smooth, polished, curated for impact. I retreat toward a table in the back. It's near the buffet, half-lit, and shared with a few others who were clearly last-minute guests. The tablecloth is slightly wrinkled. There's no centerpiece. No one makes eye contact. They're too busy talking about startup rounds, parenting hacks, TEDx talks. Then Jordan arrives, my ex. Still tall, still smug, still wearing cologne strong enough to announce his presence before he speaks. Lex, he says, dragging out the word like it surprises him. Didn't think I'd see you here. You still hiding behind code? I smile politely. Nice to see you too, Jordan. He smirks. So what's your gig now, teaching high school computer science? I remember you dropped out of MIT or something. Before I can answer, someone else at the table leans in, whispering not so quietly. Wasn't she the one who went off grid for like years? I thought she joined a monastery or a commune. I take a sip of water, steady my hands. I don't correct them, I don't offer explanations. I haven't in years. On stage, Catherine begins her welcome speech. She talks about visibility and claiming your story. She thanks the alumni board and closes with, "We all know success isn't about who shouts loudest, it's about who gets remembered." I feel a dozen pairs of eyes sweep across the room. Not at me, past me, through me, like I never existed. Deborah, my stepmother, sits 2 tables ahead. She's dressed in a bright floral print, beaming at everyone like she owns the room. She catches my eye but doesn't wave, doesn't smile, just turns away already mid-sentence with someone else. My chair creaks as I shift. No one notices. From across the room, someone clinks a glass. A toast is being made. People laugh, clap, pose for pictures. Behind it all, the slideshow loops on screen. Catherine giving a graduation speech. Jordan winning a science fair, cheerleading photos, prom kings. I appear once for less than a second, frozen in a blurry orchestra shot, second row violin in hand. I stare at the image. I don't feel sad. I feel removed, like I'm watching someone else's documentary. And still beneath my sleeve around my wrist, the soft metal of a plain bracelet rests against my skin. Nondescript to anyone else, but to a select few, it signifies one thing: high-level clearance. Cyber Command, Tier 3 defense access. No one here knows. That's how it was designed. I check my phone briefly. A secure signal pings once. Silent. No vibration. I ignore it. I need 5 more minutes. Back at the table, someone says, "Remember that girl who used to build robots out of junkyard parts?" What was her name? Alexis. Lex Monroe. Another replies, mouthful of shrimp. She's right over there. They don't wave. They don't apologize. Just laugh. I excuse myself, stand, and step out onto the terrace. The wind from the ocean carries a hint of salt. I close my eyes for one breath, then two. Then I hear it. Faint. Rhythmic, unmistakable, rotors, getting louder. I turn toward the horizon. The sky begins to shift, and for the first time all night I feel seen. The hum of the rotors grows louder, slicing through the coastal breeze with mechanical precision. At first, no one notices. The music inside still plays, the laughter still bubbles, the toasts still echo. But out on the terrace, I know. I've heard that sound in simulation rooms, in desert briefings, in real-time extraction scenarios. The helicopter crests the tree line low and dark. Not a news chopper, not a tourist ride. It's matte black, unmarked, military grade. A V-280 Valor tilt-rotor aircraft faster than Blackhawk, more precise than Chinook. It hovers for a moment just above the lawn. I glance down at my bracelet. The tiny screen flashes blue. Active signal. Clearance Epsilon confirmed. My heart stays steady. Inside the ballroom, the music falters. Heads begin to turn. Waiters pause mid-step. The crowd moves toward the windows drawn by the unnatural wind kicking up outside. A few guests gasp. Someone knocks over a glass. Napkins fly off tables. Is that military? Someone murmurs. The helicopter begins its descent. Grass flattens in concentric rings beneath it. Petals from the decorative floral arch whip into the air like confetti in reverse. The noise is deafening now. People cover their ears, some duck instinctively. Phones are raised. Flashlights blink on. The entire reunion is on pause. The aircraft lands. The side door swings open with sharp hydraulic precision. A man steps out. He's tall, broad-shouldered, in full uniform, boots polished ribbons shining against his chest. His face is shadowed by his cap, but I know him instantly. Colonel Marcus Ellison, my superior officer for the last 8 years, and the only person authorized to use my full operational name in public. He walks with practiced calm through the chaos. No hesitation, no glance left or right. The reunion crowd parts like water around a stone. He stops in front of me, snaps a salute. "Lieutenant General Monroe," he says, voice cutting through the wind. "Ma'am, the Pentagon requires your presence. Immediate cyber briefing. Merlin protocol breach confirmed." Dead silence. Then whispers, "Did he just say General Lieutenant?" What Catherine is standing near the stage, her mouth open. One heel has snapped. She's barefoot clutching her drink like it's an anchor. Jordan has sunk into a chair, blinking rapidly. My stepmother's eyes are wide, her lips parted in disbelief. I don't respond right away. I just look at Ellison, then give a nod. "I need 60 seconds, I say. He doesn't question it. I turn back to the stunned ballroom. They're still frozen. No one knows what to do. No one speaks. Catherine recovers first. "Wait!" she calls out, forcing a laugh. "This is part of the reunion, right? Some kind of joke, a publicity thing." She looks around, searching for agreement. But there's none. Only confusion. A flicker of fear. I walk past her without a word. Past Jordan, whose glass tips slightly in his hand. He doesn't blink. Past Deborah, who actually takes a step back like I've become someone else. Maybe I have. Melissa, the quiet girl from our AP math class, stands near the exit. Her eyes are locked on me, but they're not full of fear. They're full of something else, recognition. She whispers just loud enough for others to hear. "Oh my God, Lex." I stop beside her. She says, "Is it true?" I nod once. Always was. Then I walk toward the aircraft. The colonel holds the door. I climb in heels, crunching softly against the ramp. The wind whips my dress, but I don't flinch. Inside, the lights are low. The digital screen embedded in the seat panel flashes, "Secure sync established." I strap in. The door seals shut. The hum shifts again. We lift. As the helicopter rises into the night sky, I glance down through the window. They're still standing there, every last one of them. Catherine still barefoot, holding her glass. Jordan staring upward, mouth agape. Deborah gripping her purse with white knuckles. And Melissa standing at the edge of the crowd, watching me disappear. I don't wave. I don't smile. I just sit still as the town I once fled shrinks below us, and the mission I never stopped serving begins again. Ellison hands me a tablet. "Merlin's breached," he says. "Phoenix AI got further than we estimated. They're in the outer satellite ring." I scroll quickly. Satellite pings intercepted code fragments, language signatures. "They using ghost packets?" I ask. Ellison nods. They've layered them through fake civilian ISP relays. I close my eyes for a beat. How long do we have? Best guess 18 hours before they trigger Cascade, and the primary node is bouncing off a civilian grid. We'll need your signature to isolate. I nod again. Get me full access to the CyberOps suite. I want mirrored visuals and a raw data pipe. He presses a switch. Already live, we're rerouting to DC Command. The screen in front of me loads with strings of code network spikes and threat vectors. Outside the window, clouds blur past. The ocean disappears beneath us. The mission takes shape. And for the first time in years, I feel not relief, not vindication, purpose. Real urgent purpose. The kind you don't brag about at reunions. The kind you live for. And sometimes the kind you die keeping secret. By the time we reach DC, it's past midnight. The command center is a hive of hushed urgency. No spotlights, no reporters, just corridors lit by cool LED panels, digital hums filling the silence between footsteps. I walk past rooms shielded by biometric locks, past officers who salute without hesitation, even in the middle of controlled chaos. Colonel Ellison briefs me on the move. Phoenix AI penetrated our mirror net. They're rerouting through a commercial education database linked to satellite uplinks, he says. Your original firewall's held, but they're circumventing through civilian redundancies. We enter the secure CyberOps suite codename Aegis 7, a high-walled room bathed in blue and red digital maps wrapped around the walls. Seated officers in black fatigues track enemy vectors in real time, their eyes locked on rapidly shifting threat indicators. SITREP, I say, moving to the central display. Major Delaney turns from the console. Phoenix AI attempted overwrite on NORAD's Cascade monitor, using stealth subroutine embedded in STEM curriculum metadata. They're getting bolder, I mutter, embedding malware into public educational access. Ellison nods. They're betting we won't notice until it's too late. A large screen zooms in on the data trail. Coordinates flicker. A red node pulses ominously. The breach point, I say, narrowing my gaze. That's our intercept vector, confirmed Delaney says. But to execute lockdown, we need primary authorization from Ghost Key Your Clearance. I place my hand on the glass scanner. Monroe Alexandra, Lieutenant General, Clearance Epsilon Redline. The system chimes. Authorization matched. As the firewall protocol begins its sync, my mind flickers briefly not to threat maps or satellite grids, but to the reunion. Catherine's voice dripping with derision. Jordan's smug grin. The laughter that buzzed like static. They saw a woman in a cheap dress. Not the woman responsible for safeguarding 5 continents from an untraceable cyber war. Not the woman who trained a machine to detect deception faster than any human could. They didn't see me because I was designed not to be seen until I had to be. Delaney turns. Ma'am, we've got a problem. I lean forward. The Phoenix AI is generating a new identity trace based on your public name. I freeze. What your civilian profile is being used as a false front. They're replicating your digital footprint, social accounts, IP activity, even GPS data. They've made you the breach. The room stills. They're framing you, Ellison says quietly. I inhale slowly. They're not just trying to hack the system. They're trying to discredit it. Discredit me. Discredit Ghost Viper, Delaney adds. At that, everything inside me locks into focus. Ghost Viper wasn't just my unit. It was the most classified cyber intel program in U.S. history. I led it, trained every member, wrote every line of defense code, and I swore never to let it become political collateral. Now someone wants to drag it into the light for their own gain. I want full AI trace logs, I say, and civilian engagement metrics. I want to see where the spike began. Delaney hesitates. It started, he says, an hour after you left the reunion. My throat tightens. A screen shifts. A podcast player appears. Title, She's Not Who You Think She Is. Host, Catherine Miles. Tagline, When Silence Becomes Deception. The playback begins. Her voice flows through the ops room speakers, calm, measured venom coated in honey. You know not every hero wears a badge. Some wear mystery, some wear a mask so long they forget to take it off. She laughs softly. We had a reunion tonight. It was illuminating. A woman many of us once knew returned not with answers, but with a performance, a helicopter, a title, a perfectly timed exit. Ask yourself who gains when silence becomes spectacle. Another voice cuts in. A panelist. Are you saying she's lying about her role? Catherine replies smoothly. I'm saying... When someone hides their path for years, then appears in military gear and demands belief, don't we owe it to ourselves to ask questions? The screen cuts. I exhale long and low. She planted the doubt, I whisper. And Phoenix fed off it. Ellison finishes. They're riding the chaos. My heart isn't racing. It's anchored. I know this battlefield. Disinformation, doubt, divide. It's not enough to attack the system anymore. They attack trust. They weaponize perception. We have to respond, Delaney says. No, I answer. We have to outthink. I tap into the secure console, begin rerouting the civilian attack vector toward a sandbox decoy. I inject a mirror loop false confirmation false protocol. They'll believe they've succeeded, while we trace them back. Call it Operation Echo. Ellison nods. Understood. As data streams across the screens, I glance toward a side monitor showing social feeds. Thousands of comments. Some defend me, some call me a fake, some demand investigations. Catherine's voice is everywhere now, her clip viral stitched into reaction videos analyzed by pundits. One trending tag reads, Hack General or Ghost. I scroll slowly and stop at one image. It's me, stepping into the helicopter, dress whipping in the wind, backlit by floodlights. The caption, Cosplay for the Deep State. I turn off the feed. Ellison places a hand on the console. You know who you are, he says. Don't let them rewrite it. I don't answer. I don't need to, because I know what's coming, and I'll be ready. By morning, the breach is contained. Operation Echo worked. Phoenix AI took the bait, attempted to engage the fake civilian subnet, and exposed 3 of their relays in the process. We routed them through NATO's secure tracing hub. Their nodes are now frozen under investigation. No collateral damage, no satellite disruptions, no war. But the narrative, that's another battlefield entirely. My inbox is a minefield of media inquiries, national news outlets, military forums, conspiracy pages. Some want to praise, others want to expose, a few want to destroy, but none of them want the truth. They want clarity wrapped in a headline. Ellison gives me a briefing at 0700. General Monroe, he says, standing across from my desk. Public Affairs is suggesting a formal statement, preferably recorded. High production. You in uniform. No, I say flatly. He raises an eyebrow. That's a fast no. I won't feed it, I say. I won't validate a system that questions me louder than it ever asked about the mission. Ellison leans in slightly. That's noble. But perception is now part of the war front. I look at the glass wall beside me. Behind it, a blurred mural of flags of honor of declarations made and forgotten. I didn't enlist for fame, I say. I didn't serve for applause. And I won't fight for followers. A beat. He nods. Understood. As he turns to leave, he adds, You should talk to her. Who, Catherine? I laugh once. Dry. That woman spent 15 years building a brand off of the very silence I lived through. She also started something that got exploited. She might not know what she did. Oh, I say. She knows exactly what she did. That evening, Melissa calls. Her name flashes on my secure line, not from DC, but from Maine. I pick up. Hey, she says. Sorry to bother you. You're not, I reply. I thought you should know Catherine's planning another episode. This time she's calling it a restoration effort. She's organizing alumni to vote on whether your name belongs on the legacy wall. I exhale. My name was never meant to be on a wall, but it already was, Melissa says. We found it. In the original alumni records, before she had it removed. That stuns me. What she petitioned to remove your name from the Notable Futures section after you dropped out of MIT. Said it was to avoid confusion. I feel a chill settle in my spine. She deleted me, I whisper. She controlled the narrative, Melissa replies. You disappeared. And she made it permanent. I sit in silence. A moment later, a new file pings into my inbox. It's an old email chain dated years back. Forwarded by Melissa. Subject line: Monroe nomination. Medal of Honor 2018. A denial follows. Candidate has declined consideration. Per emergency contact's request. My emergency contact, Catherine Miles. She forged my denial. She cut the wire between me and the only recognition I never asked for but maybe needed. For years, I thought the board rejected me. Turns out they never even heard me. I closed the laptop gently. My heart is still. But it's a different kind of stillness. Not silence. Resolve. 2 days later, I walk into the reunion auditorium. Not for nostalgia. Not for forgiveness. For facts. The room smells like fresh polish and old politics. There's a banner hanging across the front: Legacy and Leadership, celebrating 20 years of excellence. The same faces, the same polished smiles, the same staged memories. Catherine is on stage in an ivory pantsuit, hair curled just so, microphone in hand. Her voice is smooth, confident, impeccably pitched. Leadership, she says, is about visibility. It's about showing up when the world expects you to fade. The audience nods. Cameras roll. But let's not confuse mystery with merit, she adds, tone tightening. Not every silence is noble. Sometimes it's convenient. That's when I walk in, not in uniform, just a black blazer, pressed slacks, and a folder in my hand. Heads turn. Whispers spread like ink in water. I step down the aisle. Melissa joins me, falling into step. She's holding a flash drive and a sealed envelope. She gives me a quiet nod. We approach the stage. Catherine falters mid-sentence. Her eyes land on the folder, then my face. She doesn't smile. "Alexandra," she says into the mic. "Didn't expect to see you." "No," I say loud enough for the room. "You expected I'd stay invisible." The alumni board chair standing to the side glances between us. "Is there something we need to—" "I'd like 3 minutes," I say, "to clarify a story that's been told without me." The room is still. The board chair nods once. I step up to the mic. "I'm not here to respond to gossip," I begin. "I'm here to reclaim a truth that was erased." I hold up the folder. Inside, I unfold the email: Catherine's denial to the Medal of Honor board. I place it on the podium. "This is how someone removed me from history," I say, "by pretending to protect me." Gasps ripple through the crowd. I hold up a second page, an acknowledgement from the Department of Defense. My file, my nomination, my classification. I don't show my rank. I don't need to. Instead, I lift a photograph: me, in full uniform, standing beside NATO command. No medals on my chest. Just purpose in my eyes. I speak slowly. Some of us served in silence, not because we lacked stories, but because we respected the cost of telling them. I never asked to be seen, I asked to be useful. The room is silent. I scan the crowd: old classmates, former teachers, confused faces. I land on Catherine. She built a platform on being visible. I built a career on being accountable. I pause, then add, "They're not the same thing." The chair speaks into the mic softly. "I think it's time we corrected the record." A quiet murmur of agreement rises. Someone begins to clap, then another, then half the room. Catherine doesn't move. Her smile is fixed, but her eyes, they're glass, shattered from the inside. As I step down from the stage, Melissa leans in and whispers, "She didn't expect you to fight back. She didn't know I was trained to." I reply. We exit through the side doors. The sunlight outside is clean, untouched by performance. I don't feel victorious. I feel visible. The following week, the Pentagon held a closed-door acknowledgement ceremony. No media, no cameras. Just a select group of senior officials, policy advisors, and my original Ghost Viper team. General Aubrey Klein, my first mentor, stood beside me as they handed me a letter. Not a medal this time, but something weightier in meaning. A correction. An official reinstatement of the 2018 Medal of Honor nomination, now submitted for review properly with my signature. Afterward, I walked alone to the observation deck just above the East Courtyard. The wind was calm, the air warm. I watched cadets below practicing formations, young, ambitious, mostly unaware of the invisible systems keeping their world intact. My phone vibrated. Melissa again. I know you said no interviews, she began, but you should see this. She sent a link. An article. The Atlantic. Title, The Woman Who Refused the Spotlight Until It Found Her. I skimmed it. They got most of the facts right. They quoted Melissa. They even included my statement, you can erase a name from a list, but not from legacy. What caught me was the last paragraph. She didn't reclaim her name to be seen. She did it so the next woman who serves in silence won't have to fight just to be believed. That line stayed with me, because it was true. Invisibility wasn't armor. It was weight. A week later, I received an invitation to guest lecture at Fort Liberty, once Fort Bragg, now home to one of the most advanced ethical warfare programs in the country. I accepted. No fanfare, no press. Just a classroom, 30 cadets, mostly women, all sharp-eyed alert, sitting straight in their chairs. The nameplate at the front read, Lieutenant General Alexandra Monroe Rhett, Cyber Command. I opened the lecture with a question. What does leadership look like when no one claps for you? A young woman raised her hand. It looks lonely. Another answered. It looks like discipline. A third, like showing up even when no one believes you can do it. I nodded. Exactly, it looks like all of that. And more. Because real leadership isn't visible when you need it most. It's quiet, uncelebrated, often doubted, and still, it's there. I told them about the breach. Not the details, just the weight of it, how it felt to carry knowledge that if revealed too soon would collapse alliances, or too late lives lost, how it felt to be mocked by people who couldn't pronounce what I protect, how it felt to watch others claim authority I never challenged simply because I refused to perform it. I told them what I'd never said at any reunion dinner table or speech, that I used to cry in parking lots after briefings, that I used to wonder whether being invisible was cowardice, not service, that sometimes I stayed silent not out of strength, but because I didn't know how to be loud without becoming the thing I hated. And that eventually, silence became its own kind of truth. They listened, not blinking, not scribbling, just absorbing. One cadet, red hair, maybe 20, raised her hand. Ma'am, if you could go back, would you choose the loud path instead? I paused, then said I'd choose to be brave sooner, but not louder, just clearer. At the end of the session, they surprised me. One cadet presented a drawing, a poster board hand-colored with markers. A silhouette of a woman in uniform, her face turned slightly, half in shadow, half in light. Across the top led quietly, strike loudly. Underneath my name, no title, just Monroe. I stood still for a moment, not to pose, just to feel it. Because for the first time I didn't feel erased. I felt understood. And that more than recognition medals or viral redemption was what I had always needed. That night as I packed my briefcase, I found a note tucked into the side pocket, folded paper. No envelope, a name written in tight script. Catherine. Inside just one line. You were right. I didn't see you. But I'm trying to learn how to now. No defense, no PR spin. Just a step. That's all I needed. A week later, Melissa emailed a draft cover for our book, title Leading in Silence, subtitle Lessons from the Field. She asked if I wanted to co-write. I told her yes. Not for me. For the next woman who'd be told her silence made her irrelevant. And for the next generation who might finally understand it never did. 3 months later, I returned to the place where it all started. Not to the reunion, not to the stage, not even to the school auditorium, but to a corridor. A quiet one tucked between the library and the old administration office at Rockport High, now labeled the Hall of Legacy. Bronze plaques lined the walls. Names, titles, class years, some I remembered, most I didn't. The lighting was soft, reverent, the kind of space built for pride, not noise. Melissa walked beside me holding a folder with one hand and a book in the other. The final printed copy of Leading in Silence. The jacket was matte black, the title barely raised in silver ink, understated, like we wanted. I stopped in front of the newest plaque. Alexandra Monroe, class of 2005, Integrity in Silence. That was it. No rank, no branch, no photo, Just truth. I didn't reach out to touch it. I simply stood there. Catherine approached from the far end of the hall. She wasn't in heels this time, just flats, a navy coat, no makeup, no. She carried a single white lily. She stopped beside me silent for a beat, then said softly, "I should have done this years ago." I didn't answer, not right away. Then I said I wasn't waiting for an apology. I was waiting for understanding. "I didn't know the difference back then," she replied. I nodded slowly. "Most people don't." She laid the flower beneath the plaque. "You taught me something," she said. "That presence isn't about volume. It's about weight." I turned to face her. "Words matter," I said. "And sometimes the ones never spoken hurt more than the loudest lie." She blinked. "Then let me say it now." "I'm sorry." Melissa stepped back, giving us space. Catherine looked up at the plaque again. "You know," she whispered, "I used to hate how people didn't notice me when you were around, even when you said nothing." "I never tried to compete," I said. "I know. That's what made it worse." A small laugh escaped me, not out of mockery, out of recognition. We had both been children of the same storm. She learned to shout to survive. I learned to disappear. Neither of us realized there was a middle path. Until now. A group of students passed quietly down the corridor. One of them, a girl, maybe 16, paused and looked up at my name. She didn't say anything, just read it, memorized it, then smiled. That smile stayed with me, because it meant that legacy doesn't need applause. It just needs to be found. Later that evening, I walked alone along the harbor. The ocean air was sharp with salt and evening light. Boats bobbed softly in the marina, their masts ticking quietly against the sky. I stopped at the bench near the end of the dock. The same bench where I once sat after leaving high school, terrified, angry, unsure if silence would become my prison. Now it felt like peace. My phone buzzed once. A message from command. Subject Ghost Viper. New movement status request for consult. Classification. Epsilon priority message. "We need your eyes." I smiled faintly, because I was still needed, still trusted, still serving. Even if no one clapped when I walked into a room, even if they never knew my name. Because I didn't lead for applause. I led so others could stand in rooms I once had to walk through alone, and now they wouldn't have to.